When it comes to residence and citizenship by investment, one question that sometimes comes up is what happens if the passport program that I am participating in, that I'm investing in, is later canceled? What happens to my citizenship? Do I still have a passport? Am I still free to travel? Am I just going to be left out in the cold and be stateless? And I imagine that these questions have intensified in recent days as Cyprus has announced that they're going to cancel their citizenship by investment program. What happens to you if you get a passport from a country that later decides to stop offering passports to the public? I'm going to share my thoughts on that issue right now. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and here at Nomad Capitalist, I've not only spent over a dozen years traveling all around the world to build a network of experts, but we have almost 30 people helping 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs to legally go where they're treated best. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. And there are a couple things that I think are important to discuss when it comes to, can I lose my passport if I participate in a citizenship by investment program? One of the things that I think the global pandemic has brought out is just how insecure any one particular citizenship is if the actual underlying passport and travel is your goal. So, I know a number of people in the United States who they had passports that expired, or maybe they never had a passport, and they went to apply for one, and the government basically said, we're not processing passport applications. Now, when I was a U.S. citizen, it always seemed like whenever I needed a passport, it was relatively efficient for U.S. standards. Now I'm a citizen of countries where you can go and get one in a day or two, but by U.S. standards, it was pretty quick. But yet these people were waiting for months and months and months, and I've heard that story from numerous countries. And so if the issue is I'm concerned that I can't get my passport renewed, I think that we've seen in 2020 how that can happen anywhere. Now, if you're a U.S. citizen by birth, or any kind of citizen by birth, I think it's highly doubtful that you're just never going to get a passport again, right? But they certainly can make excuses. Now, let's talk about citizenship by investment programs. And over the years, there have been programs that have come and gone. Belize had a program. Ireland had a program way back in the day. And so there have been programs that people participated in, they got a passport, and now for decades, no new passports have been issued by investment. Those passports are still valid. The same case goes in Grenada, for example. Grenada had a citizenship by investment program back in the early to mid 2000s. They then canceled the program. I heard one report where people had to fight a little bit to get their passports renewed. I have not verified that report, and I've talked to other people who said no, it was just a breeze. Now Grenada has a citizenship by investment program again, and so obviously they want to be in good standing and renewing everyone's passports, but I haven't really heard any issues with citizenship by investment in the Caribbean. Obviously most of the programs in the Caribbean are still running. Grenada stopped and then later came back, but really no issues there. Now in my particular case, I got in 2016 working with one of our partners who helped finance the Comoros passport. I don't recommend that people go out and get a Comoros passport, partially because you can't anymore. The program was suspended about a year or so after I did it, because they basically had one formal program, and then I suppose there were some allegations of some less formal things going on. So I went through the formal program, and I got this passport, which expires in 2021, and has my name and everything in the passport, and I've used it. I've used it in Singapore, I've used it in Malaysia, I've used it, I got a couple of visas in it. I actually made a video of going to Armenia using it. They were a little bit more confused as to what was going on. So I haven't used it a lot. It's largely been the, keep it in the office, keep it in the desk drawer kind of thing. And I think, if you're building a passport portfolio, there's some value in having a passport that you just keep in case of emergencies. In the case of the Comoros, it was a program where there's actually pretty good travel. A lot of the African countries have pretty good travel around Southeast Asia, for example. So if you like living in or traveling around Southeast Asia, those countries not only are pretty non-judgmental. I went to Singapore, guy looks at it, okay, great, stamp, here you go. Is it on the list? The list tells me what to do. And I think I have a lot of respect for that. Certainly there are countries in the world that would say, why are you Comorian? But I've never had that experience. And certainly people over the years, when hearing the program have been suspended, there's been a couple of the haters, let's call them, who have said, oh, how are you going to get this passport renewed? You're an idiot. Well, the reality is I've actually been in touch with the embassy who handles renewals, and we've discussed not only going to Comoros and meeting with people in the government there and advising them on investment, but how I'm going to get my passport renewed. And so what you want to get with any citizenship is a certificate of citizenship, a certificate of naturalization. And so you want to have that, and with that, you are a citizen just like anyone else. And so just as with many offshore banks, if you get in and then they later raise the requirements, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, they generally allow you to stay grandfathered in. The same is true with a number of other things in the offshore world, and the same generally applies to passports. If you go out and get a citizenship by investment from Dominica, and later Dominica decides, we've had enough of the passport game, we're getting out, you will still be a citizen, you'll still have all the paperwork, and you'll be able to go and apply for a passport just like anyone else. Now, if you live somewhere else in the world, it may be a bit more difficult in terms of you need to mail your passport somewhere to have it canceled and get it back. In the case of St. Lucia, which I'm a St. Lucian citizen, there are some forms you've got to file to get the new passport. It's a bit less formal than the process, for example, in the United States, but you do need to actually mail it in if you're not in St. Lucia. And so if you're constantly, traveling every week, that might be an issue. You probably need to either have another passport to use, or you need to, be settled for a little bit of time while they can issue you a new passport. Certainly, the people who helped you get your citizenship could also help you renew it in many cases. And so my overall thought on having your passport canceled is I wouldn't be worried about that. Now, certainly what we've talked about in the past is citizenship by investment programs do have decent latitude. Actually, right before they canceled the program, Cyprus put in some new provisions where they could go back, I think, 10 years, if I recall correctly, 5 or 10 years. And if you committed crimes after getting the passport, they could cancel your passport. The Caribbean countries, for example, generally have varying degrees of language where if you become a person of ill repute and it's impinging on their reputation, they can actually go and cancel your citizenship at their discretion. Sometimes it's a board, sometimes it's one guy. Now, obviously, they don't want to be in the business of doing that and turning people off and having a bad reputation. What they want is to make sure that they don't have some international fugitive. And you know what? I also want that as somebody who went through a strict due diligence process. I don't want my passport being devalued because some buffoon came and got it. So, generally speaking, I think that citizenship by investment programs should be considered as safe as long as you're on the up and up. And so I would not be too concerned if a country has canceled its program, because so many countries have suspended their programs. By the way, the same goes for residence permits. There are people who have residence permits that are no longer available. It doesn't mean they kick you out of the country right away. So, sorry to tell a couple of you who thought that this is the only passport I have. I have several more. It can be renewed. There is a process to renew it, and it has been used, which is also a good thing. The one issue that I would certainly be concerned about is, if you did get a passport through some kind of illicit means, if you were doing something, on the side of the citizenship by investment program, you were doing some kind of shady deal. Some countries, they have residence, they have citizenship, they have, many different ways to become a citizen. If you're doing something shady, and if you're forging, your great-grandmother's birth certificate, the great-grandmother that never existed, to become a citizen of some European country, in that case, yes, I would be concerned. If you're making some kind of shady investment, if you're not following the rules of the program, if you're investing in some ghost real estate project, I might be concerned about that. Because they can definitely pull anyone's citizenship if it was obtained through fraudulent means, the same way the United States, for example, can go back and denaturalize someone who lied on their application. And they've done that in the case of the U.S. with war criminals, for example. So if you do things on the up and up, if you play things straight, they call us the goody two-shoes of the offshore business because I like to play things straight. If you do that, you're not going to have a problem. Your citizenship should be safe. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number one, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number two, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number three, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number four, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.